One, two, one, two, one. Turn me up. Turn me up.
The champ is here.
It's your boy, V-Ben Israel, the People's Champ, back with another YouTube live stream. Good morning, Israel. Good morning, you Negroes. Shout out to my trolls. I hope y'all doing well today. It's July 13th, 2026. I want to be a little serious today, this morning. And I was thinking back to a recent panel I was on Cellulite's channel. Shout out to my brother Cellulite. And I definitely appreciate him, Cellulite. He always honors me by allowing me on his panels on his channel. So I'm appreciative to him for that. I gotta make sure I tag him in this video later because I want him to see it. What we have, and by the way, welcome to the People's Podcast. I am your host, V-Ben Israel, the People's Champ. And what I noticed on that panel is we have a problem in America today. And that problem is people confuse information with knowledge. And then they confuse knowledge with wisdom. Information, knowledge, and wisdom are all separate things. People get a little bit of information and they think they got wisdom now. They think they have knowledge. And that's a problem. Because no longer are elders respected in society the way we once were, or the way elders once were. And when I say elders historically would I'm not going to say leaders, but they were the sentinels of the community. That's what elders once were. And they were guardrails. They functioned as guardrails in society, in the communities, in the neighborhoods, in our schools. But, however, we no longer have those protections within our society, and you have a bunch of people just talking, just shooting out information. And the scriptures tell us all information isn't good. But y'all shoot it out. Like, you get this information, and sometimes I question why certain people saying certain things. Like, it's just pointless conversation. Uh, my voice is a little raspy. It's almost 9 o'clock a.m. and I'm trying to get my voice right. Drinking a little hot tea with some honey. You know, my favorite, the good stuff. I need to re-up too, by the way. I'm running low on hot tea bags. So hit the Cash App. $ send 2V. Make sure you keep my voice clear. Make sure you help out the brothers. I get some tea. Oh man, a handsome honey. That's wonderful. Y'all know I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income. You know, help me out. All I ask for likes and tea. I don't ask for much. So, furthermore, and specifically in what a lot of you continue to call the Black community. And as I stated on that show that night, there is no Black community anymore. It died in the 80s. When the mid-90s rolled around, when the 90s rolled around, rather, it was only little sparse, sporadic remnants of what the Black community once was. I grew up in it. I saw it. And the thing that I saw when I grew up is not the thing that I saw when my kids were growing up. I got 4 kids, 2 of them in high school, 2 of them are adults in their 20s, all Zoomers. Those Zoomers, where the neighborhoods that they grew up in were not the Black community. And what we have today, this very moment, is the same thing. So what we have today, I want you older people to think. And when I say older, I'm talking Gen X and older. I'm not even counting the millennials. Gen X. We were the last to see the Black community. Think about what you had when you were growing up, and I don't care what part of the country you were in. It's all the same. We all have similar stories. Hell, me and Izzy was talking together on the show. I like that brother as well. Shout out to Izzy. We have similar life stories. Never met the man. Just, I'm sure I bumped into him here and there in these YouTube streets. But that was really my first time that I could recall really interacting with that man. And we, similar lifestyles, same stories. So I believe he thought about, and I could be wrong, I won't want to put words in that man's mouth, but I believe based on our interaction when when I explained what I was saying, He understood because we have similar lifestyles. We both came from the Northeast, into the South, into the Carolinas. But that place where we grew up, he and I specifically, in the 80s, in the late 70s, that's not those neighborhoods that we had then, that environment that we had then, the teachers that we had then are not the same today. And I know that to be a fact. I would go to parent teachers conferences with young white woman, 21, 22 years old. That's my kid's teacher. I had the same teachers my mom had and my father had. I went to the same schools that they did. It's not the same today. And I referenced Dr. Claude Anderson a few times. And sadly, so many of y'all, again, you got a little bit of information. You don't have knowledge. You just got information and you're running around here talking like you're a scholar. And you aren't. I'm sorry. But that's that foolishness in society today where, uh, I put my pants on just like that man. No, you know. There are better men than you. And you have to humble yourself down and acknowledge it. That way you could properly assess yourself. My friend Kevin Samuels, he was a hell of a man. I didn't agree with him on a lot of things. We battled early on, before he really, reached his peak. But in the beginning, when he was the best dressed deacon in the country, I recognized that this guy was special. Even though I'm arguing with him, I'm debating him on certain topics. That man was special, brilliant. And it made me look at myself and ask certain questions. Like, I need to improve on this and improve on that. Looking at this man. This man is on another level. I'm an athlete. I played ball and ran track and football, you name it, I did it. All my life. I didn't just play ball in the park, pick up games. I was actually on the team. I was a shooting guard. And even when I played ball, I ran across somebody had superior skills to me. It made me want to work harder. I ran track. I ran against a guy who was better than me, could jump further than me, run faster than me. It made me want to improve myself. Right? But that's gone. There's no competition today. There's no humility in today's society. In the community, as my other friend of City would say. Shout out to Whip City. Me and him argue all the time. Me and him we don't agree on a lot of stuff. But I would consider him a friend. He's brilliant as well. He's not the average guy. But everybody, guys, you want to talk about women, and but you don't apply the same rules to yourself. No humility. No competition. No wanting to improve yourself, but you think you deserve a 8, 9, or a 10 woman when you are a 3 or a 4 man. You ain't even average. You're below average. But you think you're entitled to a top notch woman. Most most the average rather, let's say that. The average black man ain't and never competed. You're below average. You ain't even average. You're below average. A large percentage of, let's say that. I run across you guys all the time, and then women are confused, misinformed, and they don't know how to properly vet men because of this. I had uncles, and a lot of uncles, and one of them was very special. He was a PhD. He worked at Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey. He was a PhD engineer. And he ran the research and development department. Some of you don't understand the significance of what I'm saying right now because you only have a little bit of information. Oh, I don't debate. I only debate my equals. All others I teach. So I'm trying to teach y'all something now. And only a few of you are going to get it because you don't have any humility and you can't humble down to what I'm trying to give to you now. For free, by the way. Unless y'all hit the cash app. But my other uncles always tried to, like, it was like a secret competition between them and my Uncle Milt. My Uncle Milt, Dr. Jardine, right? That was his name, his last name. So Dr. Jardine, that whole, to be a black man in the 80s, working where he worked, to have the level of education he had, and to be in the position that he was. For my uncles who also worked at that same facility, they had their positions were nowhere near what his position was. They weren't running shit. He worked upstairs somewhere. Okay. But that's indicative of what I'm seeing today in society with black men. You want to look at a man like that and tell yourself, delusional, your imagination, that you on the same level, quote unquote, as him. Unbelievable. Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey. We wouldn't have touch tone phones without that place. We wouldn't have microchips without that place. We wouldn't have fax machines and area codes. We wouldn't even have Verizon Wireless without that place. Would learn some history, research that facility. Research that facility. Get a little history on that. Y'all love to study ancient history and uh, slavery, 1800s a little bit, and then 1900s Reconstruction. Y'all like those kind of, and I guess a little bit of the 1600s and 1700s. That's as far back as many of you go, and you don't have a complete picture of the world history, Western civilization history. And this is why you're misinformed on a lot of things. The miseducation of the Negro. All right. The young lady was speaking, and I appreciate her wanting to be in that space. Right? A little disrespectful. And the fact that she thought she could jump into a room with men of my age and rage out a little bit. That's the disrespect. Think about it. She was 25, 26 years old. Say 25. Ten years ago, she was 15. Right? 10 years ago, I was 40. So you think from 15 to 25, she's accumulated enough information, knowledge, and wisdom to have an argument or a discussion or a debate with me, with Izzy, with Cellulite, with what was the other guy, Justin, or any of those older men that were on there. Like, to me, that's irrational. That's irrational thinking. Now, if you want to be in that space, young lady, if you happen to hear this, like I ended up telling her, listen and learn in silence. Because she was mixing things up and all over the place and emotional, of course. And we used to have a thing when I was her age. When I was her age, I'm 50. Izzy is 50. When I was in school, we had a class called Reading Comprehension. See, y'all read and get information today, but you don't comprehend what you're reading. And this is why the scriptures say a little bit here and a little bit there. You need milk when you're trying to get meat. Hello? That's the problem today with the vast majority of people in society are like that. I'm applying to the vast majority. Because we have access to the world's information with these devices, and we got Google and now AI and Chat GPT and things like that, Gemini. People think, and they just go over there real quick, ask a question, listen to the answer, and they think they're experts on the subject now. And that's the extent of their information. Well, that's not knowledge. That's only information. And this is where she went wrong. Because she at one time, for example, and I'm not bashing her, I'm trying to teach her. She started reading the 13th Amendment. If I was somebody put a bounty on me for 30 minutes, so I'm listening, I can't respond. And nobody else responded because they have information too and not knowledge of the Constitution. And I'm not sure what her point was, but the 13th Amendment did not end slavery. For the first time, that was slavery being legalized, being defined for the first time, if you comprehend what you're reading. Now, slavery is defined. You can be enslaved for this reason. And then after that, after the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, now see, this is where you need context, young lady, and others. Those amendments actually codified things and they legalized things. And slavery is one of them. And shortly thereafter, the prison industrial complex developed. But if you don't understand what you're reading, you never read the whole Constitution. You didn't start at the beginning. You didn't understand historically what was happening at that time and before to understand why this document was constructed. Also, make note, I'm not a chauvinist, but I'm stating facts. Men locked themselves in a room and came up with that Constitution. There were no women involved for a reason. The document would have never got done. It would have been endless debate. Sorry, ladies, but that's how y'all are. You don't believe me? Bear Grylls Island season 2. Their lives was at stake, and they were still debating. But that's another conversation. So they didn't understand, like, the point she was trying to prove. She was actually proving the opposite. And nobody there, all those grown men, and I doubt any of them, and this is not an insult, and I may be wrong, but I doubt any of them have read the entire Constitution. I'm sure they jump in here and there and pick up an amendment, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. That's why everybody thinks they have unlimited free speech. Oh, the First Amendment. That's not what the First Amendment says. What the First Amendment says is the Congress cannot create laws to limit your speech. However, a corporation can. And that bounty they put on me is a perfect example of that. Somebody based on their wealth, power, and resources, as I stated on the video, on the panel, wealth, power, and resources. Somebody watching that show was able to use their wealth, power, and resources to take away my speech. And there was nothing I could do about it. That goes, I mean, if we got, as Americans, unlimited free speech, they shouldn't have been able to do that, right? False, because that's not what the First Amendment says. A corporation, which would be YouTube, can allow its participants to silence my speech. Right? YouTube can tell us or strike us or shadow ban us or whatever you want to call it for saying certain words. We can't say, we got to say things like grape, right? We got to say things like unalived because of it. Because somebody at YouTube decided those words are a problem, even though they say them on TV with no problem. Hello. But we don't have reading comprehension in society today. So people used to take pride in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, and they would even have those things in their houses, like copies of them and framed. And it's amazing. But going to the black community, I'm rambling. So I'm gonna wrap this up. There is no black community because in order to have a community, you must have a code of conduct. There have to be rules that govern that community. And those elders, those sentinels that I spoke of earlier, would police the community to make sure and enforce those rules and set punishment for when those rules were broken. And it kept the neighborhoods operating as a community. We do not have that today in the black community, nowhere in America. And if somebody wants to argue it, show me where it is. I'd like to know. Pick a state, pick a city. I'd like to know. And I've lived in many cities, so I'm very familiar. So know what you're talking about when you make that argument. Right? I'm doing good this morning, y'all. I haven't cussed one time. I'm proud of myself. And it looks like, wait a minute. I have a couple of y'all watching. It was more than that a little while ago. I guess I pissed somebody off this morning. But I thank you all for watching. Ladies, there's such thing, a little sidebar, as y'all gotta vet men better, right? And let me say something. I'm gonna be real sincere this morning. And I'm gonna say something I've never said before. So listen up. Y'all gotta vet better. Okay? And in order to do that, you have to be able to make distinctions between low quality men or lower quality men and higher quality men. Okay. And a lot of times y'all focus on economics, y'all focus on the money. I want y'all to start taking the money out of the equation. Not completely out, but just setting it to the side. Don't think that's a consideration later. But initially, there are other qualities and attributes of black men that are more important. Okay. My grandmother's generation, the silent generation, money wasn't a concern for them. They were looking for other things in the men. And they lived better lives, more productive lives, and more prosperous lives than we do today. And they stayed married forever till death do you part. They lived that life. They lived the American dream and got the house and the kids and the dog and a fence. It might not have been a picket fence, but we had a fence. It was silver. But, and that's another topic. Black people used to believe in the American dream. That was it. What do you believe in today? Y'all want a husband, want a husband. And what else? There's a life that comes with that. There's duty and honor and legacy that comes with that. And y'all don't even consider those things because you have to do something for those things. Okay? And that's what grandma understood. And great grandma today, I guess she would be. Yeah, that would be my kid's great grandma. Right? Great grandfather. They lived a different life and they had a duty and honor. The woman was protecting, or rather passing forward, the man's legacy. See, the legacy ain't the woman's. The legacy is the man's. The man creates the legacy, builds it, adds on to it. And then the woman is responsible for transmitting that to the next generation. We not equal. We have different jobs to do. Okay. And that's how legacy works. And in order to do that, you have to understand you have a duty and a responsibility. So I'm going to use Amanaz. And I guess all of these years, she used to be calling her out. But I'm going to say something she ain't ever heard me say. We call each other sister and brother, okay? Because we've been friends. I would say best friends. And maybe I'm overstepping. She can vouch, say that for herself. But we've been best friends for 21 years, right? Ups and downs, sideways, you name it. I'm a best friend. But here's what I'm going to say. If she, and I'm sorry, baby, just listen, and I mean this. If she was vetting me properly, if she could evaluate men properly, she and I would be together right now. We would be married. Facts. Facts. But, because I see the men that she chooses, and these men are nowhere on my level in any category. And I told she was having an issue with a man, and I told her something she did to that man. And she's like, really, I think after she and I did the podcast, she really's been thinking about it. Because she said something to me yesterday. And she like, V, I really didn't mean to hurt him. I didn't know, she said. Like, that means she absorbed, because one of the qualities I've always found attractive about her is her ability to process information. Now, she don't always do it in the moment, but then she'll go back and sit on it and come to an understanding like, damn, I did. And she's right there right now. Like, I fucked up with that dude. But I didn't know. She's like honestly saying it to me. And I understand, and unfortunately the baby boomers dropped the ball. And on the podcast she and I did on that show, where I went off on her a little bit, and I told her it's your dad's fault. It's your mom's fault. It's my mom's fault. Hell, my parents don't even treat me like I'm one of their kids. I'm somebody else's kid. I just ain't never met the people yet, you know. At 50 years old, I ain't met my real parents. But we were lied to, as Kevin would say, as others would say. Angry Man is another brilliant man. He's brilliant. Even though he doesn't have the formal education. Hello? Hello? Who's it, Jason? Hey, what's up, man? Oh, I'll deal with it Wednesday. I think I see her Wednesday. When's Jose coming out to me? All right. I see why you calling. Let me try to reach her today and I'll try to get back to you later this afternoon. All right, you my man. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. I'm sorry, y'all. That was my pharmacy. I've been dealing with them almost a decade. I know them people by heart, man. I love them. I knew so much who he just by his voice. But anyway, so it, our parents didn't teach us certain things, and they lied to us, and there were a lot of lies that float around, but if and that affected us, and one of the ways it definitely affected women was you weren't taught how to evaluate a man. Equality, man. That's why y'all all got the same story. Oh, my daddy was this, my daddy was that, my daddy was so great. No, he wasn't. He was just a regular ass dude out here trying to survive. And he had some kids, and most of them had kids younger. My mama had me at 18 years old. She didn't know shit. Luckily, she was still living in her father's house, silent generation. And that's how my grandparents ended up raising me, right? That's how I ended up going to the same school as my mother and father, who were never married, by the way. They were a one night stand. I'm the result of a one night stand. Tried to get a nut and he got me. Shout out to Jigger. What did my mother know at 18, 19, 20 about raising a man? My father wasn't active in my life. My grandfather was my father. And I learned a lot of things from him. Man things. Um, but there were even things he couldn't teach me. Because he didn't know, because he wasn't a higher value man. He was a regular ass dude. I would say he was below average. My grandfather was a functioning alcoholic, but he also worked at Bell Laboratory. My grandparents worked there for 30 years. And my grandfather worked on the assembly line pressing the microchips. My grandmother was the supervisor over all of the custodians. It's a huge facility. I mean, huge. Okay. So she had like 500 employees that were below her, under her. And they both retired there. Great job, good money, good benefits, union. Um, but I remember the first microchip I ever saw. I was in grade school, and my grandfather brought it home. Like so, like it's amazing. He gave it to me. I didn't know what I was holding. because he couldn't communicate. This thing is going to change the world. It's already changing the world. You know, he didn't have that knowledge. He had the information that, yeah, I'm making microchips. That's the information. But the knowledge and wisdom of that microchip, my grandfather didn't have. Going back to harmonize, if she could vet properly, me and her would be together. Hell, we was living together. Me and her never had sex or kissed or any kind of that stuff. Never. But if she could vet properly, we would be together. I believe she's a quality woman. She got a little rough patches, but I believe she's quality. Same thing with her sister, Amberly. Our sister, Amberly. Same thing. If she could vet properly, we could be together. Either one of them. They father just didn't take the next step. They was right there. He did a good job. But he didn't just do that one extra thing. You know, two extra things that they needed that was so critical for them. My breakfast cigarette. Good morning. I went to sleep early last night, man. I conked. I took my medicine and I was not feeling good yesterday. I was kind of hot. I'm checking the temperature, so it ain't the temperature, but I'm burning up. I kept putting the water bottle on my head. Holiday was up. Me and her was talking. She's like, "Why you keep doing that? What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm having hot flashes, I guess." And then I eventually collapsed and I was on the couch. I don't even remember going to sleep. I was trying to stay up because I purposely said to her, I don't want to go to sleep early because I don't want to be up all night. Yeah, I go. I've been up since about 4 a.m. And at that time in the morning, my mind is going, constantly going. Mom, Wendy tried to say, oh, this what your son, he can't his mind and this and that. I understand that. I have that. That don't mean you got ADHD. It means something else. But when you combine that, Wendy, that thought process and that thinking with no discipline, that's the problem. And then they get misdiagnosed because they're reacting to the discipline part, not his thinking. He's smart. He's very intelligent. I hate that word smart. He's intelligent. He that's not his problem. His problem is his behavior. A lot of these boys, and I've raised, I would say more boys than you are, Wendy, and I love you. But my kids got 21st cousins, and I raised the most of them. Another topic, though. That's another conversation. But the ladies haven't learned how to vet. And this all goes back to the code of conduct. There are rules. They still here. There are things the woman supposed to do, things the man's supposed to do. And the sentinels in the community, the elders, made sure those rules were enforced. Because if your kid was behaving a certain way, believe me, somebody pulled you to the side, no matter how old you were. The elders, they were respected as the elders. It wasn't about age either. Remember, David was wise as a young man. And he was schooling the elders around him, and he ended up becoming an elder at a young age. King David, by the way. But again, y'all got information and knowledge and wisdom. So, because those rules weren't being enforced, or Rather, yes, they weren't being enforced. It started during the baby boomers generation. Our parents, a lot of them got fucked up, which is why the marriage rate got cut in half in one generation. We go from 90% marriage rate to 45 in one generation. But we skip over that. We don't talk about that. Why did that happen? The code of conduct was breaking down. I come from a generation of the stepdaddies and latchkey kids. We didn't go to daycare. We were latchkey kids. Right? Am I everybody? Let me check the chat. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect the chat. Welcome to the People's Podcast. I am your host, V-Ben Israel, the People's Champ. And those of you who are new to me, and I realize that on the panel, because we got a lot of new OGs, because they my age and they on here, they talking like they the OGs. But they just got on here during COVID, right? I'm before that. I'm a real OG. That's why I know all of the so-called kings of the manosphere, right? I was on the internet in the 90s. We had social media back then. It was called GeoCities, right? And then after that, we started having Yahoo and AOL, right? And in the early 2000s, when we was all on our peer-to-peer time frame and we were downloading all of the movies and shit on those peer-to-peer networks, the Napster and all of that. And then the MySpace era came in and the tagged and then Facebook came in and we got what we got now. Flickr. Flickr was a big thing. So it's kind of like today Flickr and MySpace merged. Hell, I would throw tagged in there too. And that's Facebook now. But my point is there's different iterations of the internet. I've been here for it all. Hell, I've been doing my podcast for over 15 years. I started out on Facebook. Even though YouTube was available, it wasn't a thing like it is today. Flickr was more popular because of the pictures, and that's where the selfies come from. A guy named Chris Maverick, black guy from Pittsburgh, very brilliant photographer, one of my favorites. And I'm a photographer, so for me to call another photographer brilliant, I'm saying a lot. But the origination of the selfie, for those of you who don't know, and this is probably not going to be wildly documented, so you ain't going to be able to Google it to check me. This is something you got to trust me on. So sometimes think about it like a basketball player. We got playground legends, right? Manigault, for example. That's where the term the GOAT comes from, because that was his nickname. He's considered the greatest of all time. That was during Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's era. But Manigault never actually, Don Cheadle did his movie rather. Check it out. That's the history. So that's the citation. But it's like that. He was a great basketball player, playground legend, greatest ever. And even Kareem said it. And Kareem was considered to be the GOAT during the Michael Jordan era. Okay? For you, those of you who don't know basketball history, Michael Jordan was never considered the GOAT outside of his fans in Chicago. And they gave it to him in 1994. Well, if that's true, when did he surpass Kareem? Because Kareem was the GOAT at that time. So when did he surpass Kareem? He didn't. Which is why when LeBron finally beat Kareem's record, Kareem acknowledged it. Kareem never acknowledged Michael Jordan like that. Little tidbit. Now, you can have your opinions. We ain't going to go into that. It is what it is. And I'm a Jordan fan, by the way. I was a Bulls fan in the 90s. Anyway, it's like the man ago. You're not going to find too much. If you ask who's the greatest, who's the GOAT, that name won't come up. Chat GPT will not give it to you. Computer, who's considered the GOAT in basketball?
The debate over basketball's GOAT is ongoing, but Michael Jordan and LeBron James are the top contenders. Jordan's 6 championships and finals MVPs showcase his dominance, while LeBron's longevity and versatility make a strong case too. Want to dive into some of the specific stats and moments that make their cases so strong?
In 1993, who was considered the GOAT back then?
Who was what in 1993?
Who was the GOAT in 1993?
Michael Jordan was widely considered the greatest basketball player in 1993.
Computer, that's not true.
Actually, you're right to push back on that. In 1993, the GOAT conversation was way more open than I made it sound. Charles Barkley won MVP that year, and Magic Johnson was calling Jordan the greatest, but plenty of folks still had Kareem, Bird, or Magic himself in that conversation.
Thank you, computer.
You're welcome. Happy to help with the basketball history.
I told y'all I'm an OG in this. I'm an elder. I know my shit. They left out Wilt Chamberlain. Also, by the way. But as he said, it's an ongoing debate. And usually people lean rather to their generation. So whatever generation that person is in, they're going to lean to the popular answer for that generation. So for example, my uncle thought Dr. J was the greatest of all time. My grandfather would have thought Wilt Chamberlain was the greatest. See? Men identify with their generation. Even men today, they're stuck in the 90s. These boys today are far better athletes. Oh man, back in the day, man, the league was tougher and this and that and man, these young boys today, bullshit. These young boys today are superior athletes, and most of them players from back then wouldn't be great today. I'm sorry. Their fitness level ain't up to par. They'd get ran out of the gym. By the time halftime come, they be out of steam. Think about what I'm about to say. If you know basketball, right? Who the hell was Jordan guarding? Nobody, a bunch of nobodies. Name the team that they played and tell me who Jordan guarded. Even the shot, one of the famous shot that they always showing on the commercial, when he shot a free throw over a guy that was shorter than him and falling. Byron Russell wasn't great. He wasn't on Jordan's level. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, every team they played, that was Jordan's story. He ain't play against nobody. He ain't guard nobody. Hell, when he played against Gary Payton shut his ass down. But that's another conversation. So, men do that with everything. They minimize other men, and some men will even denigrate another man and try to make himself look bigger. No, you are what you are. It don't matter what you say about that other man and try to tear the other man down. He's still better than you. And you still are what you are. And women get caught up in that. And I was going to say something, but I'm not. I got a court case I got to deal with now, so I got to be careful with certain things I say. Because it can and will be used against me. I ain't talking about no legal jeopardy. I'm in. It's a one-on-one case. Anyway, it's about some money. So anyway, that's why some of y'all may be thinking, ain't you supposed to be going to dialysis? It's Monday. Yeah, I'm taking off today. I got to handle some business. So she and I would be together if she could vet properly. Then she would see the value in me. Any category, I'm above average, far above average in any category. And she been claiming I'm looking for a husband. She looked right past me. She don't see me. Never asked. I mean, I was married, whatever. We don't have any code of conduct. And I think I need to talk more about, because that's only one reason why the community broke down. So I think I need to do a series. And that's why I titled the thumbnail the way I did. This show is the Black Community Code of Conduct. So I'm going to do a series of them. And I'm going to explain, because some of y'all are just confused. And we can't fix a problem if we don't identify the problem or even acknowledge that the problem exists. And that's what's happening. People don't think there's a problem. That's why they still saying the Black community. It ain't here. Even Rome fell. The empire, Rome was an empire. The Black community was already fragile and underfunded. It's not here. I don't know why they think it's going to last forever, or it was supposed to last forever. It ain't built that way. It ain't designed that way. That's why, and somebody brought it out on the show, that's why those communities, those prosperous Black communities, the best among us, are no longer here. They were destroyed easily. Within hours, they were destroyed. It didn't even take decades. It took hours to wipe those small communities out. Those were communities. They had a code of conduct, a way of operating. right? And I think Amanaz says somebody was like, "Oh, I see what you're saying." Not fully, but I appreciate the acknowledgement, whoever that was. I'm not sure if that was Izzy or Cellulite. Amanaz can tell you, right? Oh, shit. Trying to take this tea bag out. I'm sorry. I done dropped the string in. It's all good. I got a spoon. There we go. So yeah, sometimes I leave the tea bag in because I want it to be strong. I want a stronger tea taste. And I only sweetened it with honey. That's usually how I do with my hot tea. Honey is expensive. And I love honey. That's better than the damn sweet tea I be drinking, the pure leaf. So anyway, or even the tea I make at home, I gotta make some more. I'm gonna do that in a bit. I'm out. Oh man. So I hope this is good content for some of you. There are those of you out here who just ain't gonna get it. Again, I'm not debating with you right now. I'm teaching you. I only debate my equals. All others I teach. And like I said, I've been here. I bet some of them, like again, I mean, COVID was what, 2020, 6 years ago. I got a decade on top of that. And I've seen all, I was talking about Chris Maverick. I didn't finish that story. Black photographer from Pittsburgh. He got infatuated with a story of a photographer, an unknown photographer. He took a picture, I think in the 70s or 80s, with a Polaroid camera every day. And then he ended up getting sick and wound up in the hospital. And somebody kept some people, I'm sorry. Computer, is that an alarm?
I don't see any active alarms on your bedroom Echo Dot right now. Want me to check if there are alarms on your other devices?
No, I found it.
Great. Glad you tracked it down.
So every day when he was in the hospital, somebody came and took a picture of him to continue what he had been doing for decades. He had been doing it for a long time. And I think you could even find it on the website of it still. Somebody made a website and showed all his pictures. And then when he was in the hospital, he kept progressively getting sicker. And then he eventually died. No story, just pictures, just selfies every day for decades. So Chris Maverick started doing it, doing this selfie every day, and it got popular. And people started competing with each other to see if they could top the other guy or woman, and it became a whole thing. And here we are today with selfies. Now, I don't remember the word selfie before Chris Maverick started that work. So shout out to Chris Maverick and his mom. His mom is a photographer too. Shout out to Chris Maverick. Good guy. Well, great guy. Brilliant, brilliant man. Again, here I am acknowledging other men. Don't belittle me. I don't know why you guys have a problem with that. It don't change me at all. Me knowing the existence of superior men doesn't change me. And having money doesn't make you great. You got a lot of wealthy people out here. They're just regular dudes. Take away the money and they're a regular basketball player. They're a regular rapper. Take away the fame and take away the rap. And what are they? They would be working at Amazon like everybody else. My head is getting heavy. I don't feel as bad as I did a few hours ago, so I'm getting better. I was struggling in here a few hours ago. Keep my head up.
Living room. Temperature has reached 72 degrees.
Okay, I'm sorry. My other Echo Dot in the living room was telling me it got to 72 degrees. I have it set so that way I want it to be around 72, so it'll let me know when it gets there. And if it goes over 78, it'll let me know too automatically. A lot of you didn't know that Alexa could do that. Again, wisdom, knowledge, not just information. You got the information about some things the Echo Dot can do, but you don't have no knowledge. You don't have the experience that I have. Because people be around me all the time and be like, damn, I ain't know it could do all of that. And it's not a slight. You can't fix a problem if you don't acknowledge there is a problem. So the problem would be you don't know enough. Well, change it. You don't have enough experience. Change it. And like I was saying with the young lady, within a decade, she thinks she accumulated the knowledge and experience that I have. And when I went to college, I just didn't go. I was on the president's list every semester. What the hell are we talking about? But they don't even understand the significance of that. So they don't understand the significance of AT&T, Bell Lab, and Murray Hill. They don't understand the significance of that. They don't understand the significance of what the community once was. It's a lot of things I'm recognizing by talking to those people. They just didn't understand the significance. And they don't know how to listen. They talking all the time because that's what they want to do. They got a little bit of information and they want to run and talk. And they try to one up the other person. That's what they were trying to do. The brother was trying to talk, and I think it was Justin. He couldn't stop interjecting. What would you call it? Ad-libbing. He couldn't stop ad-libbing. And then because he wouldn't shut up, nobody got the message. And that's what happens on panels like that with people. I've been on other panels like with BGS Ibmore and Dr. Hassan Johnson. By the way, that's where I met Kevin in the back chat. But anyway, I've been on panels with them several times. There was never any interjections. It just didn't happen because you got elders managing that environment. And BGS Ibmore, I would consider him one of my elders. Y'all don't read no books. I guarantee all these people playing like they smart and all of this and they know this and know that. They ain't got not one book in their house. I'm not talking about the Bible either. I'm talking about not books for entertainment. I'm talking about like a book where you're trying to research a subject matter. SME, ain't nobody, y'all ain't ever been a SME. So most of y'all don't even know what a SME is. And I doubt that young lady has ever been a SME and probably don't know what it is. But this is love I'm giving her. A lot of times y'all think the opposite. You think a word means the opposite of what it actually means. So correction is love. They're synonymous. Hmm? So if I'm correcting you, and ladies, if a man corrects you, he's showing you love. I ain't saying he loves you, but he's showing you love. But I tell you one thing, if a man doesn't correct you, he don't love you. Facts. And I taught my kids that long time ago. My daughters and my sons. If you don't get corrected, they don't love you. Holiday gave me some correction yesterday. And she was right. And I accepted it. And then she got mad at me. Let me tell you, we talking. I'm just talking. I'm talking my ass off. And I find myself, and what I'm trying to do, well, when it comes to her and in general, I'm trying to learn how to communicate better to her, right? And because if I want her to communicate better for me, and I've seen improvements, I gotta lead. So that's what I'm doing. And I believe she's making corrections too, based on recent conversation compared to the way we used to be. So anyway, she says to me, "You talk too much. You just been talking and talking. You ain't even realize I walked away." And we on video. You don't realize I walked away. And then when I came back, you were still talking, and she was like, "Damn, this man is still talking." And then she goes into explaining, well, my job, I talk to people all day long. So basically, when I'm home, I don't want to talk to nobody. I can understand that. She's like, "I thought you knew that." How would I know that when this is the first time you're saying it to me? How would I know that? But I didn't say that. I didn't say anything. But that's my thinking. Women, we're not mind readers. We're not, we don't keep a catalog in our brains of everything you've ever said to us and have instant access to it when y'all think we should. Okay? We remember the main points. That's how it works. So I let it go off on me a little bit. I mean, she was nice with it. She wasn't screaming or nothing, but she was checking me, and I let it happen. The old V would have shut it down immediately, but I'm working on myself in my old age because I wanted to understand. I'm learning or practicing listening to understand, not to respond. And I think on that panel, now that I think about it, that's a good analogy for that panel. You got a group of people that just waiting to respond. Because at one point it was a guy who came up and he was responding to something we said earlier and had already resolved. So he'd come up there like he was checking us. And I'm like, bro, we talked about that and came to a resolution already. We agree with you. So, or rather, you're agreeing with what we said. So, what's your point in doing that 10 minutes after we had that conversation? But he had been waiting to respond. I think he had been timed out or put in timeout, right? So when he finally came out of timeout, he came back up and he was trying to respond to what we said 10 minutes earlier. And then we already came to that conclusion. So that means while you were timed out, you weren't listening. You weren't comprehending. But anyway, so she checked me and I shut the fuck up. Right? And she was talking. She started talking. She was telling me a story about her sister coming over to get a car worked on by the neighbor or something. And she was like, what she said to me? Trying to think how she said it. She was like, why are you quiet now? Well, I wasn't feeling good. Keep in mind, she can see me. I'm on video. So I had a water bottle like this. Just like this cold, it's still cold. I was putting it on my head because I was overheating. Now, she didn't even realize when I get too hot, I get nauseous. And she didn't realize during that phone call, I had vomited like 3 times. She ain't know. She wasn't paying attention. So the thing that she is accusing me of, she's doing. I ain't say nothing. I just allow her to get it all out. And why you not talking? So I was like, I don't feel good. And I had already acknowledged that you was right. You told me I was talking too much. But I'm right at this moment. I just wasn't feeling good. That's why I'm putting the bottle on my head. She didn't really acknowledge that. Because I was looking, or at that point, it should have been some empathy. Oh, wait a minute, baby. I'm sorry you're sick. You all right? What's going on with you? Something, That didn't happen. But sometimes or oftentimes we try to offer correction to people, but we don't examine ourselves as the scripture says in red writing. Okay? Examine yourself. And she struggles with that, like most women today. Y'all struggle with examining yourselves, but you're easy to identify problems in other people, other women, and men. You can see everybody else's problems very easily, but when you have the same problem, you can't see it. You're horrified by the other person doing it, but when you do similar, you don't even see it. So she gave me the story about, all my life I've been talking to people as a job. Okay. So have I. That's what I ended up telling her later on. Yeah, I said, you remember that story you told me about your job? I did the same work as you. Have you forgotten? Longer than you. Have you forgotten? Me and her both worked at Convergence and Amanaz. I worked at Convergence for 10 years. And I trained the new hires. Right? Now, I didn't know Holiday when we were working at Convergence. I don't think Amanaz knew her very well either. But she worked there. And but what you said to me earlier about talking to people all day as a job for your lifetime is true of me too. Even when I worked in retail, even when I worked in fast food, I've always had a job where I'm talking to people. But there's a caveat there. And the caveat is because I worked at those jobs, we were taught to avoid dead air. Put a one in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Dead air was a problem. So because she quiet and I gotta keep talking so there's no dead air. That's my training. So that's what I was doing. So I have to learn specifically with her, but even with other people, to not do that. I do it with Almanaz sometimes. Me and her be talking. She been on fell asleep on me. She'll be asleep, and I'm still talking all the time. It happens all the time. She would do it to me in person. It ain't even just on the phone. I be in my bedroom, she be in her bedroom, but we talking back and forth, having a whole conversation. We can't see each other. Next thing I know, she ain't responding. So I get up and go look in her room and have her knocked out. I say, you gotta be kidding me. But I'm taught to fill that dead air. That's what it's called, dead air. And I had asked her a few times, a holiday that is. You sleep? You know, because she had told me she was asleep. I asked her what she was doing when I first called. Sleep. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to go back to sleep? She didn't want to do that. All right, cool. But then she was talking a little bit more to me. And that's the improvement that I think she made. She was keeping the conversation going after that and then got mad at me. Like, why you ain't talking? Wait a minute. You fussed at me for talking too much. Now you're fussing at me for not talking within 30 minutes of each. Like, ladies, you can't have it both ways all the time. Do you want men to talk or do you want us not to talk? Which one is it? I have no way of knowing what the sweet spot is with you because she's moody. So it's like I'm walking on eggshells trying to find that sweet spot, you know. But you got to understand, or she needs to understand that about herself. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to examine yourself. Do I do this to people? Because if she doing it to me, she doing it to other people. And then she justifying it like, yeah, me and my son both like that. Of course he's like that. You raised him by yourself. So he got it from you. Y'all probably a lot alike, you know. I know my kids pick up my behaviors, good and bad. So, I mean, I'm aware of that. But we had a good conversation after that. She was telling me, um, she made me think about something. She was asking me about solar panels, and I was very surprised because y'all know I'm all into that off grid shit. So I know about solar, you know, I deep dive into solar panels. And she, I don't think they did solar panels up in Murray Hill at Bell Labs. I don't know if they developed computer. Did they develop solar panels at Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey?
Yes. Bell Labs in Murray Hill, New Jersey, did develop solar panels. On April 25, 1954, they demonstrated the first practical solar panel, which was a major breakthrough in solar technology. Want to learn about the team of scientists who made that discovery and how it changed solar technology?
No, thank you.
Sounds good.
I be killing the game, y'all. I thought they did, but I wasn't sure because that was earlier. That wasn't in the 80s, that was in the 50s. But I remember them doing research on it even in the 80s. My grandfather would bring me home all kind of little gadgets that they was making stuff.
Temperature reached 72 degrees.
Living room. Temperature has reached 72 degrees.
From our Alexa again. Let- It's all good. So now that messed up my thing. Wait a minute, let me get it right. Let me get right. Harmonize is in the chat, y'all. He says, hey y'all. Harmonize speaks. Make sure y'all subscribe to her channel. She should know automatically to drop her link. Big ass head. Big head. So anyway, that's what I call you when you annoy me a little bit. Big head. So anyway, again, they changed the world up there. Solar panels is on the list of stuff. So much technology that was everyday technology today. It wasn't in the 80s when I was growing up. They just developing this shit. And I was aware of it because my grandfather was making it, physically making it, and my uncle was on the engineering team where they developing it. So I'm aware of it. When it's not common knowledge. I guess that's why I'm so fascinated by it, all my life. I've always been into tech. But they developed so much, man. That one place changed the world. Okay. A project in New Jersey is now standard worldwide technology. So many of them, you know. Um, just think about the world's phone system. If we didn't have touch tone, what would we have? And I spoke to my grandmother recently. She told me a story about when area codes first came out. Because New Jersey was the first state to have area codes. That's why it's 201, right? That's the first area code, is 201. Um, and, different states adopted the area codes later, but you could tell by the number. So, like South Carolina is 843 or 803, the original one. That's way after 201. You know what I mean? It took them a longer period of time to adopt technology. I'm sorry. I got an ear infection, so I gotta do this from time to time. So anyway, I'm giving y'all knowledge and wisdom right now. So I'm sharing things with you that can't just simply Google. Because see, I'm putting experience. I'm not just giving you information. I'm also sharing experience with it. Practical. Um, but and even with Almanacs, we like being around each other. We get on each other's nerves, but we like being around each other. I'm speaking for her now. I believe this is true. Um, and then when we get on each other's nerves, we go to our corners. Just like me and Holiday, we retreat to our corners. She go to her room, I go outside, I be at the neighbor house. We take a break. And then we come back and talk like we never stop, Me and Holiday the same way. She'd be in one room, I'd be in the other. I'll put my headphones. If we're in the same room, I'll just put my headphones on and and we take a break from each other. I would say me and Tasty Cakes too. We did that too. Tangy definitely, but Tangy I had to fuss at because she had the tendency to like want to be up under me and do the very thing I told her I don't like. Tangy, which I'm speaking of her, like when she would come home. She'd come home and get on the phone with her coworkers to like recap their day, I guess. I don't want to hear that shit. And then she would sit right next to me on the couch. But I had to be diplomatic with Tangy. I'm like, Tangy was very squeaky, soft voiced and little girly voice. Kind of like the girl on the panel that night. Real cute little voice. Tangy, baby. I really don't want to hear that right now. Can you go in the bedroom while you on the phone? Oh, okay, my bad, my bad. But she would always do it. I don't want to hear that shit. And then I'm watching Kevin Samuels or something on the TV, and then she getting mad at me because things Kevin is saying while she talking on the phone. Go in the other room. I do this every night. I do this every night. If it ain't Kevin, I got somebody else similar. Dennis Sperlin. Shout out to Dennis Sperlin Esquire. Um, Uncle D. Ice King. I'm listening to Obsidian or, hell, at one time I was listening to Tommy. Shout out to Tommy Sotomayor, the OG, the architect of this manosphere. That's my man. I've been on panels with him at least a dozen times over the years. Usually it winds up me, him, and Angry Man be on the podcast together. I don't know how. Every time I'm on, at least it works out that way. It ain't even planned. Now I don't know him personally offline, or back channels. We don't communicate like that. Angry Man, yes, not Tommy Sotomayor. I like to state the facts so can't nobody go back and report, oh, I'm trying to clout chase or I'm repping him. I wouldn't consider him a friend because I don't know. Angry Man, I would. Sort of. I mean, me and him have had long conversations, just me and him in the back chat. So, yeah, I would consider him a friend. I never had back chat channels with Obsidian, but I've been on his show panels a few times. And I was very fond of his lady. I thought, because at one point she wanted to drop off to space. And I said, no, don't do that. Like, you're important. Your perspective is important. Men need to hear women's perspectives, whether we agree with it or not. So if you don't know there's a problem, you can't fix the problem. So as you're talking to women, that's why I love talking to women. You're gonna start to discover some problems. But at the same time, my head was itching. At the same time, I need to wash it today. Good. Um, and when I mean a good wash, being it is high like this, I just let the conditioner sit in my hair for like an hour before I even get in the shower. I'll go to the kitchen sink and wash it good. I know Harmonize used to wonder why I was doing that at her house. Sometimes I would go to the kitchen sink so I could use the little sprayer and wash my hair, have the towel around me. And I know she thinking, why are you doing that? And then I would jump in the shower afterwards, but I would let it sit for a while. I think she understands. I don't think I had to explain that to her. Cause she's all about the washing of hair and conditioning. Hell, I learned shit from her about conditioners and but her shit costs too much money. I take my cheap ass right on down to Walmart and get Head and Shoulders. Harmonize. We be having to go to we went to a specialty store one time, like way across town on the other side of town. I'm like, I ain't never even heard of that store. And then she took me to a supermarket I had never heard to, which was Sprout. I remember the day. I'm like, damn. Harmonize got expensive taste, y'all. She don't play about her hair, because it's natural. It's her hair. Anyway, and her sister got natural hair too. And that's something I like in women. Y'all know that. So again, if she knew how to vet properly, me and her would be together. Might be married. Never know. But she ain't gonna be dropping dicks with me though, I tell you that. Uh-uh. I already told her what it was with that. You got about 10 minutes to hold mine, and then we moving on, we advancing, we progressing. Say, tell your daddy I said, A lot of y'all don't get that inside joke on Friday. What was funny about that? Miss Pearlie was in real life his wife in real life. That's what made it funny. Also, they did another movie together in Boomerang when they was in the bathroom together. Bang, 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 bang. That's where that come from. A lot of y'all don't connect them dots. You don't know the history. Youngins. Some of you old folks don't know the history. You think too slow. Don't retain information. Get information and it's in one end, right out the other. I'm not feeling good, y'all. Let's say Tylenol when I get off of here. Not feeling good. Might need to lay down for a minute and get myself together. It ain't got nothing to do with my dialysis. It's something else. I think it's my ulcers acting up because I've been having trouble retaining fluid, not just food, but fluid. I know I'm sharing a lot, but I'm real with y'all. I was eating some crackers earlier. And I was vomiting them up. I ate 2 crackers and vomited them up. And because I was trying to put something in my stomach just to see. I'm not hungry. I was just trying to see. But you know what I ate with no problem? I ate the damn fig Newton. I ain't got no more. But that was my last fig Newton. I ate them with no problem. I ate 2 of them, big ones. So I don't know what that's about. I gotta get myself together. It'd be like that sometimes. It bees like that sometimes. I'm about to destroy the rhyme. Who was that? Keith Murray. Keith Murray. Most beautifulest thing in this world is just like that. I get in you. The most beautifulest thing in this world is just like that. That's what hip hop. I was giving the story of hip hop because the young lady again, she's like speaking in a position of authority about hip hop. Again, 10 years ago she was 15. I was in middle school and elementary school when hip hoppers came, like really on the scene, and it was underground, and you had to be in the crowd to understand what was happening. It wasn't on the radio. So I'm at the parks, and people are creating rhymes and battling, and my crew, I told y'all, when I was 15, was Bunch of Killers, BUK. It was like 30 of us. We was a crew. Always had our book bags and our notebooks, and we was always at the library together. I'm telling that story because I lived it. She don't know nothing about it. She might have read about it, maybe. But she ain't read that part. I guarantee that. Even though it's documented. You get a little bit of that. And what was that movie with Diggs, and Sinead Loth, Sinead, what's her name? Lathan, or from Love and Basketball. They did that movie in the beginning of the movie. They was kids and they was at the park, and then the hip hop started to come. Hell, even then that was on the radio. Like during that era when they was discussing it or projecting in the movie, right before that, it wasn't on the radio. And then when it first started coming on the radio, it was late at night on pirate radio stations. See, a lot of y'all don't know what the pirate radio stations. That's a big part of hip hop, but you don't know it because you don't know the history. So this is why I'm trying to tell the young lady, be quiet, listen and learn in silence. It's not an insult. I'm giving you something that you ain't never heard before and you can't Google. Computer, talk to me about the significance of pirate radio stations in the New York Metro in the 80s.
Pirate radio stations in 1980s New York were quite significant. They provided a platform for diverse voices and music that mainstream stations often ignored, challenging the commercial radio landscape and offering alternative content to listeners across the city. Want to know about some of the most famous pirate stations that operated back then?
No, how about the significance it had with the development of hip hop, with rap music?
Pirate radio stations in 1980s New York were crucial for hip-hop's growth. They provided a platform for new artists and styles, helping spread the genre beyond the city's limits when other media options were limited.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this kind of goes into the conversation I had with Polly when she came up, because she's from New York, I think Brooklyn. She lives in Texas now, but when she was coming up, she was in Brooklyn and she knew. Hell, she told me some shit I didn't know. And once again, fellas, you got to listen to these women. She told me that WBLS and Kiss FM, they're no longer radio stations. Those were your two biggest radio stations in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, in all, any surrounding area. Computer, is it true that WBLS radio station in New York is no longer a radio station?
WBLS is still a radio station. It's currently broadcasting at 107.5 megahertz in New York City with an urban adult contemporary format.
107.5.
Here's Latina Charlotte from TuneIn.
Welcome to TuneIn.
Computer, I'm asking, was WBLS 107.5?
Yes. WBLS is indeed 107.5 FM in New York City.
You're actually a damaged Synchrony credit card.
Computer? What about Kiss FM in New York? Are they still a radio station? That would have been 97.8.
KISS FM is no longer on 98.7 FM in New York. It merged with WBLS in 2012, and the frequency is now used by ESPN Radio.
To the bank and to Claire. 2 taps later,
Computer. Stop. So Polly was partially right. WBLS is still there. But Kiss FM 97.8 isn't. I got a phenomenal memory that I still remember them radio stations from. I was a kid. Remember, I was a kid when I left New York. I would have been Polly's age when I left the New York Metro. But I remember huge stations, you know. Anybody who was anybody shouted them out, you know. I don't know of no stations down here that's like that, you know. I mean, I know known radio stations, but I don't know anything that's had the power and the reach that Kiss FM and WBLS had. I can't think of it. Not here in Charlotte, not in Atlanta, you know. Hell, people in Philadelphia knew those stations, even though the broadcast didn't reach that far. It was just a known thing, you know. But you gotta listen, ladies. Listen and learn in silence. And if you're gonna learn anything, do it at home with your husband, the scripture says. Computer, what is the scripture that tells women to listen and learn in silence? And if you're going to learn anything, do it at home with your husband. What is that scripture? And read it.
1 Timothy 2:11-12 says, "Let a woman learn in silence with all submission. And I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man, but to be in silence." Would you like me to read another related scripture from 1 Corinthians?
The scripture I'm looking for is listen and learn in silence. And
1 Timothy 2:11-12 says, "Let a woman learn in silence with all submission. And I do not permit a..."
The scripture I'm looking for says, listen and learn in silence. And if you're going to do anything, do it at home with your husband. What is that scripture?
First Corinthians 14:34-35 says, "Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law."
What about the scripture that says, if women are going to learn anything, to do it at home with their husband?
1 Corinthians 14:35 says, "If they want to learn something, let them ask their husbands at home, for it's shameful for a woman to speak in church."
All right, computer, read that scripture in the King James Version.
I could not send that announcement because your communications or announcement settings are turned off on this device. To fix this, in your Alexa app, tap the light bulb and select this device. Next, tap the gear up.
That scripture you just read, please read it from the King James Version.
1 Corinthians 14:34-35 in the King James Version says, Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. For it is a shame for women to speak in the church.
Didn't I just say that to y'all? I mean, thank you, computer.
You're welcome.
I'm so lazy. I ain't even left my bedroom in my bathroom. I came out of the bathroom this morning and got stuck. I had to go to the door, and then I put my clothes on and went to the door and came back, and I was still a little dizzy, a little wobbly. So I sat down. I feel good right now though, but this position is very comfortable for me. And I told y'all my head was heavy. So I'm probably going to prop myself up with one of these pillows in a little bit. That's what I've been doing. Like I'll prop myself up. And I was comfortable. You know, I'll get comfortable. So that's what I've been doing. So anyway, and again, once again, I want to thank Cellulite for allowing me the opportunity once again to be a part of his panel. I appreciate people when they do that. And I also always try to show them my gratitude. So I am grateful for that. I'm not a clout chaser. Y'all should know that. So I usually don't make it a big deal when I'm on somebody's panel about coming over to my channel, but I appreciate when they do. So it's all love. I'm gonna make sure I remember to tag him. So anyway, even on here, I've learned to put little breaks and pauses. If y'all haven't noticed me doing it while I'm talking on here, because I know I can talk continuously about a wide variety of topics. So I force myself to pause, to put some breaks in there, so I'm not just rambling. And then I jump from topic to topic sometimes, so I have to be careful with that. And the topics are usually they correlate with each other. But if you're not listening, you're missing the point when I bring it back around. So I know a lot of you, especially in today's world, y'all want everything microwave. Quick, 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 like a commercial. But some of these topics that we're talking about are complex and they can't be explained in a 90-second time period. And that's what a lot of y'all want. And some of y'all just ramble and don't even, you be trying to make a point. I know I was on a panel with the kid from the Dominican Republic. He's Dominican. His parents are Dominican. He's American. He grew up here and was born here, but he repping the Dominican Republic. And that's another thing that I have with these foreigners. These people who have that foreign influence. They don't understand the significance of the Constitution and they have no appreciation for it. It's one of the greatest documents ever created by man. It's led to 250 years of peace. You ain't got no other countries invading us no more. I mean, you'd have to go all the way back to the Revolutionary War, right? Or the French American War, whatever that was called, down there like Louisiana. Or the Mexican American War. I mean, there was a lot of wars, and I'm trying to think about them. But I know I've had a relative that's fought in all of them. In all of these wars, always had a relative that fought in them. So I'm a patriot. I'm a citizen, and we should be more guarded about who we give citizenship to. But see, the Democrats are only looking to retain power. That's what it's about for them. And they're selling citizens out so they can retain their power. And that's why when we got to talk about racism, wealth, power, and resources, they had never heard that. Even though Dr. Claude Anderson, they didn't know that name either for some reason, even though he's written like a dozen books and he's been running around the country for 30 years preaching to black people. He is the leading economist for black people in the last half century in my lifetime. He's the president's call, or multiple presidents have called on him, and he served in their cabinet. He is that dude. And he's been trying to teach black people. I recommend, he's on YouTube. I recommend some of y'all Google that instead of the 13th Amendment. Dr. Claude Anderson is more relevant to your situation today than the 13th Amendment. But y'all wasn't mad about the birthright citizenship from the 14th Amendment, right? I find that funny. The things that y'all get outraged over. You ain't outraged over the birth, what is it called? I just slipped my mind. Birth time citizenship or whatever it's called. Y'all ain't outraged over that. You ain't making a bunch of videos on that. Even though that was for y'all to protect you, to acknowledge you as a citizen. Because prior to that, you were not, even though you were born here. But y'all take things for granted. And some of you like, what? And guess who's the person that's defending that? It ain't the Democrats. It ain't Joe Biden. It ain't Hakeem Jeffries. It ain't Cory Booker. It ain't AOC, Chuck Schumer, Ilyana Omar, Rashida Tlaib. It ain't MacGyver from New Jersey. It ain't Jasmine Crockett with her loud mouth. Ain't nobody defending things our ancestors died for. Died for. Ain't protecting that. Birthright citizenship. Computer. What year was birthright citizenship? I believe the 14th Amendment. What year was that written?
The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868.
And that's the year it became an official amendment nationwide, correct? Computer. And that's the year it became an amendment to the Constitution nationwide, right?
Yes, that's correct. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, established birthright citizenship nationwide by granting citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States.
That's the 14th. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad I could help with that.
Oh, shit. I need to go to. Y'all don't know what you don't know. Excuse me. The one person that's defending that, that's making that important in our government is President Donald J. Trump. He's the guy. But y'all against Trump. And he's fighting for black people's rights. There wasn't no immigrants, significant amount of immigrants here then. It was mainly black people and white people. But again, you have no elders, no sentinels, nobody's guarding the community and keeping it, the guardrails and keeping everybody in check, because that's what the community used to be. And you gotta have a code of conduct. When we went out in the street, we had to behave a certain way out in the neighborhood. Don't you get in trouble in that neighborhood. I don't want to get no phone calls all the time before you went out the door. Parents stay up. Today, you don't have nobody saying that. Make sure you dress a certain way because you come from somebody, meaning your family. Don't make the family name, the family name means something. That's what they would say to you. And it would be your mama, your grandmama, rather. Big mama would say that. We don't have that today. We do not have anybody saying those things today. What the hell is going on? What is going on? Oh, that temperature alert messed it up. Let me see it. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Make sure it's caught up with me. Okay. Yeah, it is. I'm good. So, yeah. You ain't got no big mamas no more. You ain't got no big daddies no more. There's no fathers, no uncles, there's no Mr. Malcolms down the street, the firemen. You don't have nobody keeping you in check. Menstruous women will bring forth monsters. And the other one, which is children are our oppressors. Right? Computer. Computer. What is the scripture that talks about children are
What
our
scripture are you looking for? I'd be
children
happy to
are
help
our
you find it if you can give me more details about what it discusses.
computer. Children are our oppressors and women rule over them. KJV.
Isaiah 3:12 in the King James Version says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err. and destroy the way of thy paths.
I'm gonna end it on this. Thank you, computer.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
I'm gonna end it right there. That's the exclamation point on this podcast. That scripture he just read. Children are our oppressors. That's what's going on in the community right now. The teen takeovers and all of that. That's children oppressing us, oppressing the so-called community, right? No code of conduct. That's why they're acting that way. And women rule over them. 70% of our children are born out of wedlock. They have no fathers and husbands in the household. Again, there's no code of conduct being instilled. There's no duty and honor being taught. The legacy, because that's part of the legacy, is not being created and transmitted to the next generation, and women rule over them. Computer, read the scripture again, please.
Isaiah 3:12 in the King James Version says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths."
And the women that are ruling over them, they cause us to err. This has been going on for what, 4 generations now? You're talking about the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Zoomers, and now the alphas are coming up. We're talking about 5 generations of that. So if it took 5 generations to get where we're at today, how long do you think it's going to take to correct the problem? Most of us are not going to see it in our lifetimes, but we got to start fixing it. So it's choices and trade-offs, ladies, gentlemen. You got to decide, I want this thing. I got to give up something to get that. You got to make a choice and trade one thing for the thing you really want. So I was trying to teach Amanaz on the other show. What do you really want? She wants a husband. Well, you got to make some trades, baby. You got to do something that you thought you wasn't going to do. That's what it's about. But women ruling over the community is causing us to err and is destroying our path. What is the path? Going into the next generation. How do we get there? That's a path. Pastor Pork Chop ain't going to teach you that in church. Deacon Clapcheeks ain't going to tell you about that one. Isaiah 3:12, KJV. Remember it. I got it locked and loaded. Now, you want to tell me the Bible ain't a real book? Huh, that's funny. That's funny. Listen, I got enough, man. I got enough out. I got to get to work, handle some business. We're starting to feel better, so I'm gonna chill out for a minute and then go right into my calls. So on the way, I appreciate y'all stopping by the People's Podcast.
From Echo Living Room,
On the way out the
temperature
door,
has reached 72 degrees.
on the way out the door, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, subscribe or share to your socials. Hit the Cash App. I'm running low on tea. I need y'all help. Running low. $, send 2V. Simple. And remember, I'm your host, B. Ben Israel, the People's Champ. but you can call me V. It's your boy.